Hi, you clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Tuesday over here in the Atlantic. This is actually kind of cool. Over here we have a couple of cold core upper lows stacked over surface lows over here in the central Atlantic, and these are almost what you could call subtropical low pressure systems right now, but these will be becoming warm core with time. Actually, this one will be weakening and sort of fizzling as it comes this way and kind of gets entrained into this larger circulation that is developing here in the eastern Caribbean and north of Puerto Rico. You can see where the surface low is trying to get going in here. As these clouds wrap around, you'll see convection warm the air column aloft and reverse this upper low into more of an upper ridge. Over here is the air column warms due to convection as this comes north, and this will be trying to develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm over the next couple of days. It will probably do so. We'll see if it gets a name, and it will be coming out to the northeast over here with time. You notice this is not going to be a threat to the United States. We see the frontal boundary over here indicating the presence of a trough, so this will be curving out, and this will be fizzling and merging as it goes out like this. So no threat from this system to land right now, just rainfall for the Caribbean islands at this point. Arctic oscillation tanking into the negative during the next 5 days. North Atlantic oscillation is doing the same thing. What does this mean? This means there's going to be more blocking in the high latitudes and more amplification of the troughs. And we notice on the GFS day 3 trough in here. See our system developing over here and trying to recurve. See the amplification here argues for the strong weakness in here and then trying to leave a piece perhaps behind in the Caribbean. And if we go out to day 5, notice the trough leaves. Notice the piece that's left behind over here east of Central America, and you can see what the GFS does with this. By day 8 develops Paula. If this gets named over here, this would be Otto getting named out here, and this would be Paula developing in the western Caribbean with a little ridge over the top over here. And you can see where this is going. This is going right across to northwest Cuba and South Florida if this were to pan out over here. And this is something that Cuba and Florida will have to be keeping an eye on to see if something does try to develop and come up out of the southwest Caribbean. Going out on the GFS to day 15, you notice the blocking over the top here, and then the big bomb of negative anomalies sitting over the southwest Gulf of Mexico. And it's tempting to say, well, hey, this is the area we should be watching for tropical cyclone development in 2 weeks. And normally that's true, but we also have to remember now that we're starting to dig deep into October, and this image is showing October 20th over here. And so we got to start realizing that there's actually no ridging between this and the westerlies. In other words, this is more representing troughing and buckling within the actual jet stream. So what this is saying is actually that we should be watching the Caribbean over here, because that's the area that's going to be getting ventilated. And yeah, we could worry about some trough splits coming down in here and causing some fun and games in the Gulf of Mexico, but what this is really telling us here is to watch the Caribbean in this area in a couple of weeks. And if we go back to the Arctic oscillation, notice how it spikes back positive in the longer term over here, but the North Atlantic oscillation stays fairly negative for most of the period. And what this must do is it must get you a strong jet coming out of the Pacific over here, and then it's going to diverge into 2 branches. You get the polar jet stream coming out over here, and then guess what the southern branch is? Over here, coming through here, that's our little friend, the subtropical jet stream, and you can see it over here on the day 15 GFS, a wall of westerlies coming out over here, and this is our friend that shears all the systems that try to come out of the Caribbean. And so this wall of shear in here is something that would protect the United States during this period from landfalls, at least of major systems. I shouldn't say landfalls because remember, this is the ventilated area of the Caribbean. This is still a very active area and is going to continue to be into November. Most likely you'll see things developing in here and then trying to recurve out, but they will likely be weaker. And when you start seeing the subtropical jet show up, and this is about the time of year when we start to see the subtropical jet get back in here, and this is what can usually lower the chances of major hurricanes making landfall on the United States coastline. That doesn't mean you can't get a major hit on a Caribbean country in here, but it does lower the chances of the United States getting an extremely damaging hit. But we should still be on the watch for things developing and trying to recurve out. At this point in time, you start to shut down the Western Gulf. Again, you can start to get trough splits in here, but really we start shutting down this area of the world and we start focusing everything more out in here and getting things developing and recurving, hybrid storms and things like that. So we will continue watching. It's still an active month ahead. We will be getting a few more names knocked down off the list, possibly watching for landfalls in here, but we may end up getting very lucky this year in the United States in that we may get away without a major hurricane making landfall. So let's continue to hold out hope for that, because chances will start to diminish as we go in time, but landfalls in general are still a risk in this area, so keep an eye out for that. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.